You're born in a small stone house outside Florence, 1319. The roof leaks when it rains, the walls sweat when it's hot, and the straw bed you share with two siblings smells of mildew and fear. Your mother lights candles to saints you can't pronounce. Your father swings a hammer in a forge that eats more wood than the forest can grow. Childhood isn't a blessing here, it's a dare. Make it past 5 and maybe you'll see 10. Make it past 10 and maybe you'll bury half your friends before 15. When you're 7, the first rat crosses your path. Its eyes are bright as coals, its belly swollen. Your sister kicks it away and laughs. A week later, her skin blooms with black sores. She dies shivering and silent, lips cracked like old leather. They bury her at dawn without prayers. The priest is too busy with other corpses. Your mother won't stop whispering that God is angry. Your father won't stop sharpening his knife, as if he could stab the sickness out of the world. By 12, you're apprenticed to a barber surgeon, not because you want to be, but because the forge can't feed two sons. You learn quickly how to bleed a man with a steady wrist, how to cut a boil and pack it with honey, how to pull rotten teeth while pretending not to gag at the smell. The barber tells you medicine is simple, half courage, half lies. You nod, but already you know. The body is a battlefield, and most of the time the grave wins. Then comes 1347. A whisper rides the wind before the ships arrive. A sickness from the east. A death that walks faster than armies. You don't believe it until you see it. The first victim in your town is a merchant's boy, skin blooming purple, breath wheezing like bellows. By nightfall, his whole family is dead. By morning, the neighbors. The air tastes of ash. The bells toll until the ropes fray. You're 16, old enough to see the truth, young enough to think you can survive it. The barber flees. The priest flees. Even the rats seem to flee. You don't. You can't. A magistrate shoves a bundle of clothes into your arms, a long waxed robe, gloves, boots, and a mask shaped like a bird's beak. Inside the beak, dried flowers, camphor, vinegar-soaked rags. Protection, he says, though the way he avoids your eyes tells you even he doesn't believe it. Congratulations, you're a plague doctor now. First lesson, your new uniform is less shield and more curse. Children scream when you pass. Mothers spit, calling you crow of death. But others cling to you like you're a holy relic, begging you to save their husbands, their babies, their souls. You learn to move quickly, not because of the sickness, but because desperation is heavy as chains. Your daily rounds begin at dawn. You carry a stick longer than your arm, not for walking, but for touching the dying without touching them. The first house reeks before you enter. A woman lies swollen, buboes like black grapes under her arms, flies already feasting. Her husband kneels beside her, eyes wild. Do something, he cries. You press the stick to her throat, watch the shallow flutter of her breath. You mutter a prayer you don't believe. The husband lunges at you, fists flailing. You back away, cloak rustling, mask staring. He collapses against the bed, sobbing. You mark the door with charcoal, another house of death. Some days you lance boils, the pus spraying like poison. Some days you burn herbs in rooms thick with coughs, smoke stinging your own eyes behind the mask. Some days you order the living to carry the dead to pits dug outside the walls, where bodies lie stacked like firewood. The pits fill faster than they're dug. By midsummer, the ground heaves with corpses, and the stench is its own weather. At 18, you realize the mask doesn't just protect you, it transforms you. Behind the beak, you're not a boy with trembling hands. You're something inhuman, faceless, untouchable. People whisper confessions they'd never tell a priest. They ask you to judge their sins as if your stick were God's finger. You don't correct them. You just nod and move on. The mask teaches you silence is sometimes the greatest cure, but silence can't stop what you see. Children left in alleys, too small to dig graves for their parents. Priests dying mid-mass, chalice spilling across the altar. Rats bold as kings, feasting in daylight. You start keeping notes, scratching words into scraps of parchment at night. Not prayers, not cures, just records. Swellings appear first in the groin, then armpits. Fever, cough, black spots. Death in 3 days, sometimes 2, sometimes 1. Your notes grow darker. The sickness doesn't care if you bleed a man or boil his water. It laughs at vinegar, mocks incense, dances around fire. You write anyway. Maybe someone, someday, will learn from your failures. By 20, you're known beyond your town. Villages send riders begging for your presence. Some offer coin, others food, others just tears. You travel under banners of fear. Everywhere you go, the pattern repeats. Hope when you arrive, silence when you leave. You start dreaming of crows tearing flesh. You wake to realize it's not dreams, it's memory. Not everyone hates you. A few see you as the last barrier between them and chaos. A widow feeds you broth, though her own children starve. A monk helps you burn contaminated clothes, singing hymns through his cracked lips. One night, a girl of 10 sneaks you a flower, dried lavender, crumbling at the edges. For your mask, she whispers. You tuck it inside the beak, next to the vinegar-soaked rag. For the first time in years, you smell something other than rot. Still, the plague is greedy. It takes the widow, the monk, the girl. You carry on, but your steps grow heavier. Your hands shake when you lance boils. You drink wine to steady them. Soon you drink wine to sleep, then to wake. By 25, your breath smells like the very rot you fear. Doctors from Paris to Padua write letters arguing about causes. Bad air, angry stars, God's punishment. You've stopped caring. All you know is this: the body swells, the body burns, the body breaks. And yet you keep showing up. Not because you believe in cures, but because someone has to count the dead. Someone has to mark the doors. Someone has to look at suffering and not turn away. Years roll by. Whole towns vanish. Fields return to forest. You watch Europe shrink like a starving man, but you survive. Somehow you always survive, and survival is its own burden. People start calling you the Black Physician, the Raven Man, the Angel of Ashes. You don't correct them. Names are lighter than the screams you carry. At 30, you find another doctor willing to walk beside you. He jokes that two birds look stranger than one. Together you burn more houses than you save. Together you carry more bodies than you heal. But at night, when the candles gutter, you read each other your notes. His handwriting steadier than yours. His hope brighter. You cling to it like driftwood. Still, the plague doesn't end. It ebbs, flows, hides, returns. A tide that never stops. You move from city to city, always wearing the same robe, the same mask, until you forget the feel of your own skin. Children who once screamed now bow their heads when you pass. Respect or fear? Maybe both. At 40, your joints ache. The mask grows heavier. Your stick shakes in your grip. But people still call, still beg. You go, because that's all you know how to do. One winter, you collapse outside a hut, fever burning your skull. A family takes you in. They don't fear the mask anymore. They fear the silence without it. They feed you broth, wipe your brow, whisper prayers. Against all odds, you recover. But the boy of the family doesn't. He dies while you live. The balance sheet of plague remains unchanged. You write until your ink runs dry. Your notes fill a chest. Symptoms, failures, half-truths, guesses. You know it won't cure anything. But maybe one day, someone will read it and do better. At 50, you hang up the mask. Not because the plague is gone, it never is, but because your body won't carry it anymore. You bury it beneath the floorboards of your house as if hiding a relic of a nightmare. You sit in the sun and watch the world limp forward. Fields tilled again. Children laughing again. Rats still scurrying, always. They don't call you doctor anymore. They call you relic, ghost, survivor. But you know the truth. You weren't a healer. You were a witness. You didn't save the world. You just stood in its ruins long enough to count the dead and remember their names. You die with ink-stained fingers, wine on your breath, and the smell of lavender still faint in the mask tucked under your bed. The plague doesn't die with you, but your notes remain, and maybe that's enough.